Hello, I'm Maylan Studart. Today we're going to examine the Zika virus and its effects around the globe, starting with Brazil. Brazil, an exotic, hot, and beautiful country. Rio de Janeiro, the city hosting the 2016 Olympics in August, is often defined as a friendly, happy place full of beautiful beaches and mountains. The Olympics, a centuries-old prestigious tradition, started in ancient Rome when cities around the world would unite around a common goal: athletic competition. Athletes have been practicing to qualify for the 2016 Olympic Games for the last 4 years. Hundreds of thousands of spectators will flock to Rio de Janeiro to root for their countrymen, yet this year's Olympic Games are surrounded by reservations and concerns. Specifically, the outbreak of the Zika virus, a newly discovered virus that has been linked to birth defects in newborns as well as to Guillain-Barré syndrome, an autoimmune disease. It's an epidemic in Brazil, currently making its way across the entire continent of the Americas on the backs of Aedes aegypti, a common mosquito species. Zika is not known to cause death, and symptoms are usually mild, like fever, rashes, joint and muscle pain, and vomiting, and can last from 2 to 7 days. Zika was discovered in 1947 in Uganda, but was not a threat until the outbreak in Brazil caused serious concerns. What caused alarm was that after Zika was first confirmed in Brazil in May 2014, a country of 200 million, it spread rapidly, and alarms about microcephaly were sounded when doctors reported a surge in babies born with it in October 2014. According to the World Health Organization, agencies investigating the virus are finding increasing evidence in the link between Zika and microcephaly. A medical student at the New York Institute of Technology is unsure of how much to be concerned.
I think the Zika virus is somewhat frightening. You hear about it a lot on the news and the media, somewhat from an emotional perspective. They try and frighten you a little bit, dramatize it a little bit. I'm not currently immediately concerned about the virus nearby. I think I would need to see it spread a little bit more.
It was thought that one could only get the Zika virus after bitten by a mosquito, but now there is a possibility that the virus could also be sexually transmitted. The Zika virus is being studied as the culprit behind another more communicable disease, Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare disorder in which the body's immune system attacks the peripheral nerves. The first symptoms for Guillain-Barré are usually weakness and tingling in the extremities and can lead to temporary paralysis and, in extreme cases, death. Currently, only 3 to 5% of patients with Guillain-Barré die of complications of the disease. Symptoms typically last a few weeks, with most individuals recovering without long-term, severe neurological complications. On April 7th, the World Health Organization released a report that in part stated, based on a growing body of preliminary research, there is scientific consensus that Zika virus is a cause of microcephaly and Guillain-Barré syndrome. The WHO declared a public health emergency of international concern this February. Travel alerts have been given to the majority of Latin American countries, and the virus is also known to be circulating in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Pregnant women have been asked to avoid traveling to those countries, and women living in the hot zones have been told to avoid pregnancy for the next 2 years. The Brazilian government created a task force aimed at the prevention and fight against the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Around 220,000 personnel from the Army, Navy, and Air Force have joined 300,000 public agents and volunteers around the country to combat mosquito breeding grounds in every house. We reached out to the Brazilian consulate in New York requesting an interview for comment on this story and on the outreach efforts and prevention of the Zika virus, but they declined our request for an interview and instead forwarded a press release with information that was in part included in this report. There is no vaccine against the Zika virus. Efforts to make one have just begun, and creating and testing a vaccine normally takes years of trials and is very costly. The Brazilian government is also fighting another front: water pollution. Mosquitoes breed in stagnant water, so old plastic containers, tires, even puddles, and anything that is lying around that retains water can become a mosquito breeding ground. That is why the best prevention is to eliminate the sources where mosquitoes breed. Prevention against the mosquito bites is the next option. Dr. Michael Pesafero, assistant professor at the New York Institute of Technology Center for Global Health, gave us tips on what to do to prevent against mosquito bites.
The virus really causes generalized signs and symptoms, meaning it causes a fever, it can cause a rash, it can cause muscle aches, it can cause body aches. Very generalized stuff. It sounds like the flu. And it also sounds like other viruses. Dengue fever, chikungunya. These viruses are also found in countries that have the Zika virus. So people have to be aware of those signs and symptoms, and when they have them, to then seek medical attention.
What can people do to prevent themselves from getting bitten by the mosquito carrying Zika virus? What is the prevention methods currently being done today?
Well, as you mentioned, the Zika virus is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which primarily bites during the day. So what people have to do is protect themselves from getting bit by the mosquito during the day, which means wearing long sleeve shirts and wearing long pants to prevent mosquito bites, wearing insect repellents such as DEET, or treating the clothes that they are wearing with insect repellents such as permethrin, which is a chemical for the clothes. Also, ministries of health have been spraying the area to combat the mosquito transmission. Also, making sure that the mosquito cannot replicate. So, meaning making sure that there is no stagnant water, or treating water with larvicides to make sure that mosquitoes can't use that water to multiply and spread the disease.
Carlos Lee Rodriguez is a resident of Rio de Janeiro and a former professional surfer. He shared with us his perspective.
Mulheres que estão deixando de engravidar para passar esse período que os médicos não sabem se é dengue, chikungunya ou zika. Tá entendendo? A zika é muito parecido com a dengue, mas é um pouco mais doloroso e afeta o feto no corpo da mãe. Eu me protejo da zika usando repelentes. Agora está todo mundo condenado a usar repelentes e água, você vê na sua residência, na residência do lado, você não tem água parada para a criação do mosquito. Porque se tiver água parada para a criação do mosquito, não vai adiantar nada você ter repelente, ter isso, ter aquilo, que a mosquitada vai vir com força total. Não tem, e aí já virou uma doença crônica aqui no Rio, a Zika e a dengue.
The Rio 2016 Olympics will be held from August 5th to the 21st. It will be officially winter, a time when mosquito activity is naturally lower. Brazilians are working around the clock to be ready for the opening ceremony. Meanwhile, on the northern hemisphere, it will be summer in New York and mosquito season will be upon us. Be prepared in case of an outbreak of the Zika virus. Keep mosquito repellents readily available, wear long pants and long sleeves, and be mindful of your surroundings for any place a mosquito can breed. Empty anything that is storing water outdoors and stay inside in screened or air-conditioned rooms and sleep under mosquito nets. Thank you very much for watching this special report. For more information on the Rio 2016 Summer Olympics and the World Health Organization, please visit rio2016.com and who.org. I'm Maylan Studart. See you next time.